This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
Continue all the way to episode 284 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And really, we ask for so little. Just fear us, love us, do as we say, and we will be your slave. Thumbs up and subscribe to this podcast, or we shall throw you in the Bog of Eternal Stench. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like New York with the virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
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 I got a case of the tongue twisties or something there.
Should have said hello.
Did you eat a magic peach? Did you eat a magic peach when you weren't supposed to?
Well, I don't feel sleepy.
Okay.
Something else? I don't know. Yeah. Hello.
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 Fancy a cuppa?
Yeah. Oh my.
When?
We're trying to keep the morale up because
Yes.
the morale is about to drop.
A whole bunch of 10 o'clock news. No bueno.
All we have is 10 o'clock news, unfortunately.
We tried to find good news, but alas.
Yeah. So yeah, 10 o'clock news. Although this first piece of 10 o'clock news actually dropped the next day after we recorded last week. So
Yeah.
but still, because I think he passed last Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Monday night, so we didn't find out this until after we recorded. Anyway, so Carl Reiner has passed at the age of 98. He passed away last Monday evening. And he's just one of those where it's like, he's in everything. He was a comedy legend. He was Mel Brooks's best friend. The two of them together were absolutely hilarious. As I've said before, I spent a lot of my childhood being watched by my grandfather. He had cable, which was fancy schmancy when I was a kid. So if I wasn't out playing with friends during the daytime, I was watching Nickelodeon, and then in the evenings I was watching
Nick at Night.
reruns on Nick at Night. So I remember him on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yep.
So.
No, don't say anything. Let me look at you. Fellas? There she is. There's the little lady who put you out of business. Your husband's gonna let you take the rap all by yourself, huh?
Oh, no, Alan, if Rob knew that I was here, he'd kill me.
Good, I'll call him.
No, Alan, please. Rob, as you know, Alan, you see, when
What?
How's your foot?
How does it look?
Oh. Does it hurt?
Laura, what the heck are you doing here?
Well,
If you like to see ruins, why don't you go to Greece?
you're not ruined, really.
First my leg, then my hair. What are you after, my liver?
Well, Alan, I apologize and to tell you personally that I'd like to try to explain.
Explain what? You got a big mouth.
I do, I know, Alan.
If you wanted a free rotisserie or a dryer, I would have gotten it for you. I would have gotten your house, a show place.
Oh, Alan, you don't have to do that. Alan, could I say something?
You got more to say?
Well, I've been thinking, Alan, and, well, for instance, I think you look very nice without your,
Hair?
Oh. Well, yes, and, well, for instance, now, I'm not saying this just because I'm in trouble, Alan, although goodness knows I am.
Oh, yes.
But believe me, sincerely, Alan, really sincerely, and you can ask anybody, I have always said that I like you so much better without your,
It's hair! You didn't have any trouble saying it on television. When did you ever see me without my hair?
well, a couple of times. Remember the time on your boat when you fell overboard?
You bumped into me.
No, you tripped over Rob.
You hear that, fellas? The whole family's after me.
The time in the hospital when you had your tonsils out.
Yeah, so?
Well, I remember telling Rob, and I told him to tell you. Did he ever tell you? Because I told him to tell you how very nice and natural and warm you look that way.
Sure like a father figure, right?
Oh, no, Alan, just the opposite.
A bold mother figure?
No, Alan, like a very mature, warm, real person.
A little more snow in here and we can ski.
No, Alan, I really like your hair. Not on. Without it.
If this is so, why didn't you tell me this in private?
Well, I just didn't feel it was my place.
No, your place is on network television.
Alan, it was an accident.
An accident. So was Custer's last stand. You want a scalp to hang on your belt? Huh? This is a cute one. I had this one made so people will say, Alan is losing his hair. Would you like that one? Or would you like a crew cut one I had made for the summer? Oh, this one might. Alan, you need a haircut. Huh? Would you like these? What do you suggest I do with all of these now, huh?
Well, there must be some needy bald people.
One of the first places I remember seeing him is Rob's boss.
Yeah.
But he's done a lot. I actually have not watched Toy Story 4 yet, so I've not got to hear Carl Rhinoceros's whatever. So I think the most recent thing I probably have seen him in is the Ocean's movies with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, where he played Saul, one of the Ocean's crew. And he was hilarious. He'd have this dry humor. It's like all the other guys were like, younger and more sophisticated, like, thieves and stuff. And then you've got Saul, who's like constantly popping not Mentos, but like Tums.
Altoids?
Yeah,
Tums,
or
Altoid, yeah.
Because even he's been like a crook his entire life, it stresses him out so much. So he's constantly having pop Tums.
I don't want to get caught. I made it this long, darn it.
Mm-hmm. Like in the very first movie where it's like, assume we do this and 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 get all the way to the vault. How are we going to walk out with all this money without getting caught? It's like, we just will. He's like, okay.
Say we get into the cage and through the security doors there and down the elevator we can't move and past the guards with the guns and into the vault we can't open.
Without being seen by the cameras.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, well, say we do all that. We're just supposed to walk out of there with $150 million in cash on us without getting stopped?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So, but yeah, he's hilarious. Him and Mel Brooks is together. If you haven't listened to it yet, he and Mel Brooks actually making the podcasting rounds somewhat recently. They were on Alan Alda's podcast back in February.
Mhm.
So go listen to that. It's just, even with the pandemic and they're supposed to be, staying socially distanced, like they would watch movies and stuff like via Skype together. And if they could get together in person, they'd always have dinner with each other and their respective, spouses and families and stuff. So, so good old Carl Reiner, but 98. That's
That's a good long
That
life,
is
yes.
quite
Yeah.
the impressive age.
Yeah. And then today, actually, these other two are from today.
Yeah.
Ennio Morricone, who you might not know his name, but you know his work if you've ever watched a spaghetti western.
Yes. And he was kind of the inspiration for the music for The Mandalorian.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, it's like if you don't know anything else, you know that quintessential theme from The Good and the Bad, the Ugly.
Bad, the Ugly.
Everybody equates with just westerns in general. Yeah.
Yep.
That one.
Yes. Yep. That is him, but he did like 500 films as a film composer, including a good handful with Sergio Leone. But he did just a lot. If it was a western adjacent, even he probably did it. Like he did Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, which he won an Oscar for. The Untouchables, which is not a western, but it's a gangster movie, which is kind of the same vein. So Bugsy. So he has just did a lot, but especially those Sergio Leone Fistful of Dollars for $3 more, The Good, Bad, the Ugly,
The Clint Eastwood stuff. Yep.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in the West. And if you're a Metallica fan, they have been using also from The Good and Bad, the Ugly, Ecstasy of Gold as their show opener for a long time. it's time for Metallica to come out on stage and start the show. The house lights go down, and that's what gets played. Well, like when Chauncey and I went and saw them in San Francisco last year for the S&M concerts, that's how they started the show, but it was with the orchestra.
Nice. Oh, cool.
So once the album finally drops next month, supposedly, you'll be able to hear that.
Nice. I'm making note of that now.
Yes. Yep. So those are really, really recognizable. Just go to YouTube and just type in his name in the search box. Play something. Odds are you'll recognize it if you watch a Western sometime in your life. So, and not quite in the same vein, but we go from Western to country, I guess. Country Western.
It's in a little Southern fried rock.
Yes, a little Southern fried rock. Charlie Daniels, the namesake of the Charlie Daniels Band, has passed away at the age of 83 of a stroke, actually.
This one hurt.
Yeah, this one, I was surprised when I came home and was like, what? I didn't know he was, whoa.
Yeah. This was seemingly from what what little they have said, that this was something that came on very suddenly and just was, But
I mean, if you're, whether you're a fan of country music or not, you know Charlie Daniels. You at least know "Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Right.
The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, boy, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you'd care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I bet a fiddle of gold against your soul because I think I'm better than you. The boy said, my name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet you're gonna regret, cause I'm the best as ever been. Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, cause hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards. And if you win, you get this shiny fiddle made of gold, but if you lose, the devil gets your soul.
I mean, even like when I was in college, like we'd just, go to the dances that they had at the student center, or I had some friends who were in a country swing class, and we'd go and do that. We'd hear that song both places, and you know it, you hear it, you love it, and it's a good one. And
it had a lot of crossover because it's country with that fiddle. But it's very
then you got
rock and roll too. You got
it's got a little
playing his bit, and it's like it's
right.
It's almost borderline country metal if you want to be honest about it.
Yeah. Especially with that with the bass line, yes.
Yeah, and if you listen to metal,
gonna do it again. I mean, everybody was inspired, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean there's metal bands who'll cover it in their own way too.
It's been covered. I think it's probably a rite of passage. Especially if you're in country music, to do a cover.
Or even if you're in a garage band to start out, you learn the classic
stuff. Yeah,
you try to make an attempt.
Yeah,
at either in practice or in concert.
Yeah, and if you can manage it, then whew, good on you. But just I mean it wasn't just that song either, but they had a lot of great.
I mean, he did a lot of patriotic Americana stuff too.
Yeah.
So he's, I don't know. It's just I saw the news. I mean, 83, not a shabby age to get to at all, but it's it's this whole stupid year.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm just tired of all of
exactly.
it. And so it's just, here's one more, salt in the wound. And it's like we lost Charlie Daniels. I'm like, really? But there it is. So ugh. And the fact that it seems like it was sort of a all of a sudden and there he was gone sort of thing. That's an even more of a gut punch. But yeah, it's like when I heard it, I was like, I posted "Devil Went Down to Georgia" on my Facebook page because.
Yeah, that's how I found it from you because like I saw you post that. I'm like, oh, I like that song, and I was reading what you wrote. I'm like, and at the end it said "Rest in Peace." I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Because one of my friends didn't post the link, but she had said, rest in peace, Charlie Daniels. I'm like, huh? Did a search because there was a hoax that went around a few weeks ago with supposedly Richard Karn passing away, but that was a hoax website. And I'm just like, let me quick check. And then,
yeah, I mean, with these things,
it's just like, when I see them, I'm just like, let me quick do a search.
Well, when I was just,
it's on the front page of their website of the Charlie Daniels Band website. So.
Yeah. I mean, I was like searching the lyrics because I wanted to post some of the lyrics of the song, and I was like Google searching it, and all I searched was the name of the song, and I kept getting all these hits of Charlie Daniels passed away. I'm like, I know, and it's from all these big news articles. And radio stations and things like that, and so I was like, yes, I know, I know. But yeah, so told you guys this one was going to be at 10 o'clock. I tried to find happy things. I found a post of an older lady doing some cool cosplays. I might share to the Facebook page later, just to like, let's break this up a little bit. Find something cool. But yeah. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news. And then just before we started, I saw a post from Dragon Con, which that was not unexpected. Kind of figured it was gonna. Yeah. They're going virtual. It is canceled this year. They have they're updating their website with FAQs. So if you were going, or even if you're like me, just looking forward to seeing all the shenanigans happen on social media.
Yeah.
They are doing the virtual thing. I guess your tickets count. I don't know. I mean, it just the news just barely dropped. So there's not.
I know their announcement on their Facebook page. They said that. So we will be taking our 2020 event virtual this Labor Day weekend with a free to the universe experience.
Yeah.
So
there's something.
Yeah. And they said, in the meantime, we ask our fans to be like our favorite Mandalorian and never take off your mask in public.
Although I was looking at the update page, and there's a section like, all the questions people would ask, and then one that says, finally took you long enough to cancel. The answer is, first off, rude. Secondly, not a question. Then it goes on to say, like, why they couldn't, they tried and there's just no way to do it. But
yeah,
I'm like, thanks for keeping your sense of humor.
Yeah.
So I guess look for the free to the universe experience when it
this Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend. Geek Mardi Gras is coming to your computer.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's something.
A lot. I guess, we're deep into what would be heavy convention season.
Mm-hmm.
I know in conjunction, they just had their, what they called Incon Stasis. Over the weekend. It wasn't nearly the extensive programming that we would have if the event had actually happened like it normally does. But they did have some, unfortunately, I wasn't able to really join in on anything, but you can go see the videos on their Facebook page. You can go watch them after the fact. PopCon, or virtual PopCon, is this weekend as we're recording this. Information on events, go to their website to check on that. And then the Gen Con online catalog was supposed to go live today. Last time I checked, it hadn't yet. So hopefully by the time you're hearing this on the episode, that the catalog has gone up. It's just gone up to look. You can't register yet. Registration is supposed to open next Monday, supposedly. We'll see if that happens. But once that catalog is live, I'll be interested to see what exactly they're offering for Gen Con Online. So just because we're not able to actually go to convention centers and being among the throngs of our fellow nerds does not mean that we can't participate, at least in some regards, but you just need to be keeping track of the respective social medias for whatever that event is that you would normally be going to.
Yeah.
To see what they're offering. Make note if you need to make an account for something, like if they're using like Twitch or something and you don't have that, you need to be prepared so that when the time comes, you're not struggling with, first I got to make an account, and before you know it, something's half over.
Yeah. In fact, if I would suggest, just because the library, we've been doing, well, Jared's been doing it, but just have some of those accounts already, because you don't know.
You're gonna do your online gaming, like the Roll20.
Yeah, Roll20. You have Discord, Twitch. Those are kind of the main ones, because a lot of people are just using them right now because that's what we've got.
Yeah, so. Like YouTube, you can watch without an account, but if you want to comment, you're gonna need an account.
Yeah. And having an account is nice, even if you're not posting them, because then you can keep track of what you've been watching. Because there's some that I've watched that are really long. I want to get back to, but I have a 2-year-old who he wants to watch his Elmo videos. And I'm like, he's like, I want to watch it now, and I'm like, okay, you can watch it now. So then later I go back to it and I'm like, where was I again? And it saved my spot. So So
that also gives you the option to like and subscribe and to get notifications for
and all that
pages, so you don't miss any of the good content.
Yes. Yep. And on that note, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we do put stuff up there.
Yes.
I play D&D.
So D&D. So if con or other event is going digital, or you think you might, I figure a lot of our listeners maybe have already done this, but I just, it's a good reminder if you are looking to participate in some of these things, have an account anyway. And it's Twitch is kind of fun to just kind of have on in the background if you can manage it. So just to have something to enjoy, and there's some cool stuff that goes on. So yep. And I will say this, for me anyway, Discord had kind of a bit of a learning curve. And it was, I kind of, at one point I was filling in for Jared on one of the teen events that the library was doing, and I ended up moderating. I was just supposed to just sit in there and help monitor the chat and stuff, but the one who was supposed to moderate, her internet was not working. I ended up moderating the whole thing, and I'm like learning, doing this, learning by the seat of my pants, pretty much.
And it's not
that was an interesting experience. It was fun, but I was like, she was like, "Oh, can you moderate?" And I'm like, "I'll try."
And once you find where the things are in the layout, it's not horrible, but trying to get there, or
it's not the most intuitive platform.
No,
but once it gets better. But that was a tangent.
Yeah. The tangent / PSA.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So, and while you're online, you can go vote in the book club poll.
Yes. Speaking of
our July air quote book is the audiobook Spare Parts.
That's a good
Finish. One. Yeah, one of Big Finish's best.
Yes. And then the other books, Gallifrey Chronicles the Target storybook, which came out not too long ago. It's a new collection of stories featuring, I believe, all 13 Doctors. Then the novelization of Resurrection of the Daleks, and then I did put another audiobook up for a choice, and that will be Chimes of Midnight and Eighth Doctor and Charlie Pollard stories.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That one
too.
is
That's-
amazing, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
so please
it's-
go vote.
Yeah. It's one of
There
those
was
like,
only one vote in the poll last time.
oh,
yeah.
Well, then that person picked what we did this
Wow.
week.
I was the only one that voted. It's okay. That's good. No problems. I know it gets busy, and I need to remember to put out reminders a little bit more. So that was also kind of an oopsie on my part, but then I got distracted. Like, oh, we've got a couple more days to go.
Yeah.
So everyone go vote in the Goodreads.
And if you can't participate right away, please vote, because you can come back. I don't close the discussions down. I leave them open.
Yeah.
We can come back and revisit topics. Good with that.
Yep.
2 thumbs up.
So yes, come participate in the book club, and that's a partially also a mea culpa, because I usually vote on them, and June got away from me.
Exactly. Well, kind of.
Yeah, June was a weird month.
Because I kind of like, wait a minute, it's July. Oh, darn. I need to change book, get poll. Where did I put that list?
Yes.
Which Big Finish audio do I want to pick that I know almost everybody should have and get with easily?
Well, and the other thing too is a lot of the earlier ones, like at least I think to 100, I want to say, they're permanently discounted. They're like $3.
Yes.
If I remember, let me check and make sure that I'm not telling people wrong.
Right.
But I want to say that's correct.
And I know too that Audible also has some of the older Big Finish as well, along with iTunes.
Ooh,
And
iTunes,
possibly through your local library.
Yes. Or your local library. Yes.
Yeah.
So you have options.
Yeah, if your library has Overdrive, I think Overdrive has a bunch of them. You can get those for free with your library card. So check out your local library, and you can, it's ebooks and e-audiobooks, so you don't have to go to the library. If your library is doing curbside pickup, you don't have to worry about that. You just do it from your phone or your computer or whatever.
It's very nice. I've used it, and depending on your library setup, you can do a 7-day, 14, or 21-day loan.
Yeah,
depending on how long the waiting list is.
Yep. So yes, okay. Yeah, I'm looking at Big Finish's website right now. The first, okay, it has to load the way this thing's set up.
Yeah,
I do like their new layout. It is a lot better, but sometimes it takes a minute. But yeah, I'm looking through the main range, the Doctor Who main range, and they're all these up through 100 at least. It looks like, yeah, at number 100, they're all $3.
Which for the quality you're getting, that is worth the price.
Yeah. So if there's some in that first 100 that you haven't listened to, it's fairly inexpensive and fairly affordable, and Spare Parts is definitely in that first 100. Also, Chimes of Midnight is too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Chimes of Midnight's one of like the first, not the first one, but one of the first Charlie ones, if I remember right.
It's like the fourth one, I want to say.
I want to say, because the first Blood of the Daleks was a 2-parter, and that was the first two. I could be wrong.
Okay, it's the 6th one. It's after.
Okay.
Because the way they would do it, let's see. Yeah, because there's a section here. There's 3 8th Doctor ones, and Chimes of Midnight is in the middle. So it's like, yeah, but it's what I mean. You don't have to listen to them in order. All you have to know is the Doctor's companion is Charlie. Her background is she stowed away on the airship R-101, and it was one of those that tragically blew up in en route, and she survived, and she should not have. That's what you need to know about Charlie.
Yeah.
To enjoy Chimes of Midnight.
Yes.
So there you go. And one of these days, again, we keep promising this. We'll do some Big Finish.
We'll do a few
reviews and stuff.
retrospectives. Yes.
Yeah, we'll do an episode about it. It's just there's a lot to cover, you guys.
We'll do more. We'll probably end up doing more than one episode about Big Finish.
Yeah, I think so.
Basically, Big Finish is like the TARDIS.
Yes,
just put it that way.
And it keeps expanding. I mean, if you're gonna do podcast episodes about Big Finish, you got plenty to talk about.
Basically, Big Finish makes us happy. Pocketbooks.
I was gonna say, it makes us smile. Our pocketbooks cry.
Yes.
And then I tell my wallet to be quiet. Shut up. Sit down and shut up. I'm having fun.
Tries.
Yeah.
My TARDIS wallet is not big on the inside.
No.
But anyway, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're worried about getting the Big Finish audios for the book club,
you also might want to try Spotify.
Yes.
Because I know Big Finish does have some of the audios on there, but I'm not sure which ones and how often they update. So that is also another possibility.
Yep.
Just remember that.
Yeah. So there are if you're not sure how to obtain Big Finish audios, there are many ways to do it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And many quite affordable.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, if you get into some of the newer ones, well, then your pocketbook really cries.
Yes.
Yeah.
So save the money where you can.
Yes. Or wait.
Yeah. Or check the sales.
Yes.
Because they've been having a lot of those too.
Yes, because I'm just like, when I see them, it's like, what flash sale are we doing now?
Yeah.
And how long?
And sometimes they'll tie in sales with anniversaries and
yes.
Yeah.
Birthdays
and
new announcements, like recently that when they announced the Lone Centurion, they did some discounts on audios that Arthur Darvill had done for him.
Yeah.
None of them were Doctor Who at the time, but they still do some pretty good original stuff too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I've listened to some of the like non-Doctor Who stuff. Those are good.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Oh, and also just fair warning: if you are on Goodreads and you're doing and you do their annual reading challenge,
they do count.
They do count. The Big Finish audios have entries on Goodreads because they count as audiobooks, and I use them all the time. And sometimes I think I need to up my challenge number of how many books I'm reading because I keep counting the Big Finish, and they don't actually take
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. I like to challenge myself when it comes to my reading habits and audio listening habits.
I have been bad. I haven't been doing a Goodreads reading challenge in like years.
Not too
I
late.
think I
you
failed.
Can start.
Third, yes.
Really?
It feels weird starting a year challenge halfway through the year.
Do it. Call it a half year.
Call it a half year. I mean, I've done it. I didn't realize 1 year. I was like, oh, okay. Joined and
yeah, and it's just for you. You're not competing against anybody.
No.
You're not. Yeah. No one's gonna check up on you. This is my. They just make it easy to keep track of what you've been reading and how much and how long.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you want to do it however you want. Anyway.
You know we love reading, but sometimes it's hard to find time to physically sit down with a book, which is why the Five-ish Fangirls has proudly partnered with Audible. Audible is a leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs. Whatever makes you squee, there's a perfect listen for you. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals. Whether you're adventuring through time and space, running from dinosaurs, or capturing ghosts, with the free app, audiobooks go where you go. You can download titles and listen offline, anytime, anywhere. Even if you switch devices, you'll never lose your place. And right now, Five-ish Fangirls listeners can sign up for a free 30-day trial by going to audibletrial.com/5ish fangirls. That's 30 days to check out not only their huge collection of audiobooks, but also podcasts, guided wellness programs, theatrical performances, A-list comedy, and exclusive Audible originals you won't find anywhere else. So continue the joy of reading with Audible. Don't see a title that trips your trigger one month? No problem. Your credit will roll over to the next month, and you can quit anytime and keep the books you've acquired forever. For more details and to sign up for your free 30-day trial, visit audibletrial.com/5ish fangirls. That's audibletrial.com/5ish fangirls. And now, back to the podcast. All right, let's move on to feedback. Got some feedback from Shalane. She did send a message to us with a whole bunch of stuff that's also having an anniversary this year. But,
oh boy.
Yeah, we'll hold on to that for reference. Not necessarily something we need to read out. It's like, here, the other thing's having an anniversary. We're talking Power Rangers last episode, the 25th anniversary. So, but she did she sent another message and reminded me something I forgot to mention when we were talking Power Rangers last episode was in that at the Disney Hollywood Studios in Florida, at one point they had multiple Ranger suits on display. Last time I was there, almost 3 years ago, so things could possibly change, but last time I was there, they only had the yellow Ranger suit. They had Aisha's on display. So, I know at one point, I think way back in the day, like the Power Rangers were characters at the studios for a short time there, which when you think about it is kind of weird. Have Power
Rangers never been anything related to Disney.
Well, Disney owned them briefly.
For a short while.
Yeah,
they did.
Yes.
Blink and you miss.
It's Blink and you miss it. But I remember
the owners.
seeing.
Yes, Haim Saban. He sold the rights to them for a short while, then bought them back, and then has held on to them up until, what was it, last year when they sold the rights and the license and everything to Hasbro, I think?
Yeah, it was Hasbro. But yeah, I remember seeing the original, but it was like recut or something, the original Power Rangers on like what, Disney XD or something, that whatever channel it was. I was like, what in the world is it? Was like one of those, I was home from college or home for Christmas or something, I can't remember, and I'm like, what the heck is Power Rangers doing on the Disney Channel?
Yeah, well, but now that Disney bought Fox, the 95 movie is a Fox production. At least that movie is now back under Disney
property.
The rest of the Power Rangers not so much, but the 95 movie
so that could potentially wind up on Disney Plus.
Possibly.
It could very well.
I was gonna say, because like X-Men's coming on this week.
Yeah.
Of this month, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Fox. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the ownership of the Power Rangers has been interesting. What podcast was that? Was it? Crap! How I Built This, I think. They did an interview. They talked to Haim Saban. Oh, this was several years ago. But I'm sure you can go find the episode and listen to it. It's actually really fascinating to hear him talk about like how he got the idea to bring the Power Rangers to America and all that. And if you watch the Toys That Made Us series on Netflix, they did the Power Rangers this last season. And that talks about the licensing and all of that too. But it's wild how the Power Rangers have been passed around from owner to owner to owner. So,
yeah, if I remember right, Andre of Black Nerd Comedy, he was on that that special, the toys that made us.
Yeah.
And at one point when they announced that Hasbro bought the license, he was talking about like now they could do crossovers with My Little Pony and Transformers and Hungry Hippos or whatever it was. It was his video on that was so funny, and so it was great. So yes, there's quite the crossover potential there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But so whenever the Disney parks reopen and someone goes to the studios, I guess they can tell us whether I'm assuming, like I said, since this was a Fox movie and Disney now owns Fox, that Aisha's costume can stay on display in perpetuity, I guess.
I guess so.
I just know that Aisha's was there because I took a lot of reference pictures of it the last time we were there. So, but I did not see Kimberly's. So that doesn't mean that hers wasn't. They don't still have it, and it's just in storage somewhere. But I only
maybe they rotate them through or something.
Maybe. So, but I do remember when they had multiple of them on display years ago. But swap that stuff out is what's popular and all that. So, but thank you for that reminder, Shalane, because I completely forgot about that. Excuse me. And we got a comment from Nick. He said, "Great episode, ladies, and you should definitely try Italian beignets once flights are a thing again." Which I did not know that Italian beignets are a thing, but yes, please. After my tangent about beignets, because of the Princess and the Frog update to Splash Mountain, it's like I don't care what they do with the ride. Just let's get a beignet cart right there, and I'll be happy.
I can only imagine what Lou would be like.
Oh yeah.
We love you, Lou.
Yes. I'd be right there with him.
Oh, I shouldn't have looked it up. I looked up Italian beignets on Google.
Oh no, we lost Brittany. Come back. We still got to record.
It looks so good.
Yeah. So yes, Nick, whenever international travel is a thing again, and I do come over to Italy to visit you, you can teach me all about Italian beignets, among other things.
Yeah.
You're like, please and thank you.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Did you look it up too?
Yeah.
Quick, Googling the beignets.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm
not either.
Someone's got to stay behind and talk about our topic.
Yes. Moving on.
I'll come back to the topic. I love this topic.
Moving from beignets to magic peaches. That's a euphemism for
sure.
Her. What did they refer in the Honest trailers? Oh yes, David Bowie's Major Tom.
The bulge.
Yes.
Oh my. We're gonna try to still keep this PG, right?
Yes. We are gonna try to keep this PG. 13.
I say it's kind of a little too late now for just PG.
I mean, they did it on purpose. We'll get to that. We'll get to the cod piece in the room. Eventually, just know that it was done on purpose.
Yeah.
As much as what were they thinking? No, it was done on purpose.
They were actually thinking.
Yes.
Anyway.
Labyrinth.
TriStar Pictures announces the collaboration of 3 extraordinary talents. Jim Henson, creator of The Muppets and Dark Crystal.
Where you go with a head like that?
George Lucas, creator of the Star Wars saga. And one of the most innovative forces in modern entertainment, David Bowie. Together, they will take you into a dazzling world of fantasy and adventure.
There's nothing to be afraid of. A world where anything seems possible and nothing is what it seems.
Everything I've done for you. I move the stars for no one. Run so hard, run so far.
The world of Labyrinth.
Released late June of '86, so it just had a anniversary. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, you at least have watched the movie at least once, so you have some idea, some semblance of what it's about. You got girl Sarah, played by Jennifer Connelly, wishes her baby brother Toby away. He gets taken by the Goblin King, played by the late great David Bowie.
What do you want? You want a story? Huh? Okay. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young girl whose stepmother always made her stay home with the baby. And the baby was a spoiled child, and he wanted everything for himself, and the young girl was practically a slave. But what no one knew was that the king of the goblins had fallen in love with the girl, and he had given her certain powers. So one night, when the baby had been particularly cruel to her, she called on the goblins for help.
Listen.
Say your right words, the goblin said. And we'll take the baby to the Goblin City. And you will be free. But the girl knew that the king of the goblins would keep the baby in his castle forever and ever and ever, and turn it into a goblin. And so the girl suffered in silence until one night, when she was tired from a day of housework, and she was hurt by the harsh words of her stepmother, and she could no longer stand it. All right, all right. Knock it off. Come on. Stop it, stop it! I'll say the words. No, I mustn't. I mustn't say. I wish. I wish.
She's going to say it.
Say what?
You shut up. Listen, she's going to say the words.
I can bear it no longer. Goblin King, wherever you may be, take this child of mine far away from me.
Oh, that's not it. Excellent. That rubbish. It doesn't even start with I wish.
Oh, Toby, stop it! Oh, I wish I did know what to say to make the goblins take you away.
I wish the goblins would come and take you away right now. That's not hard, is it?
I wish.
Did you say it? Shut up!
I wish the goblins would come and take you away. Right now. Toby? Toby? Are you all right? Why aren't you crying?
Plays Jareth, and she has to go and try to solve the labyrinth. And other than Sarah's parents, Toby and Jareth, every other creature, critter, being that you see in this movie is a puppet courtesy of Jim Henson.
With the exception of
team of puppeteers.
Ambrosius.
Yes. Well, Ambrosius is sometimes puppet, sometimes actual dog.
True.
So, but I was talking people.
Yeah.
Humanoids.
Speaking roles.
Yes.
Speaking roles, yes.
Yes. Ambrosius / Merlin, because it's the same dog.
I always when I was little, I was always wanted to gonna say it was actually the same character. Just I don't know. I was thinking I was thinking Wizard of Oz, how some the characters, the people.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely on the right track though with that, Brittany. Actually, there's a lot of there is pulled from other fantasy stories like Wizard of Oz, in this movie, and the fact that they telegraph a lot of the characters you're going to meet in the very beginning of the movie, where we get the opening credits and we get that kind of slow moving shot through Sarah's room.
Yes.
See things like her ball gown outfit in a music box type thing. There's there is, hold on, I've got a whole list. Okay, so there's a stuffed animal that looks like Sir Didymus, a doll that looks like Ludo, a fiery doll on a shelf next to her bed, bookends with goblins that look kind of like Hoggle. There's actually a figure of Jareth on the side of her desk. So, yeah, and then her dress that she wears in the ballroom scene is on the miniature doll in her music box. There's a wooden maze.
That was the first thing I noticed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the one I noticed when I was watching it last night.
Yeah,
and,
there's the MC Escher picture. There's a painting on her wall that looks like the cleaner's contraption. So yeah, they telegraph a lot of that, just like they kind of do in the Wizard of Oz. So you're absolutely on the right track there, Brittany. So you aren't crazy.
Again, did it on purpose.
Yes, there's we'll need to do. We'll cover more Henson stuff. We'll need to do Black.
Dark Crystal
and all that. Obviously we did the Muppet Christmas Carol at Christmas, but then at some point we'll need to do just an episode about Jim Henson.
Yeah, and just as a heads up, there is a documentary that a YouTube channel did called the YouTube channel is called Defunct Land, but they also have a little spin-off. It's all the same channel called Defunct TV, and they did a 5-part documentary about Jim Henson's career, and a lot of. In fact, let me see if I can find it. I'll put a link in it or send the link in. But it's there the section that talks about Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and his non-Muppet movies. We're talking about, I shared this with Jared last night because before last night he had not seen Labyrinth ever, so this was his first experience. But I was telling him that the part of the impetus for doing Labyrinth is was Jim Henson was he's done the Muppets Kermit, Miss Piggy, and Gonzo and all them, and their movies and shows have been fairly successful. What can the Muppet workshop do that's not Muppets, but do something new and interesting and innovative? And at the time it was kind of a mixed reaction, mixed bag, but I think with VHS and that kind of thing at the time.
Yeah.
That
This bombed
kind of
at the box office.
Yeah, I mean, but then it became a classic because of home video. Same reason.
Exactly.
Like Princess Bride and a bunch of other movies of that time.
Yeah,
is they didn't do so well in the theaters, but because kids were like their parents would rent them or buy them on video, kids would watch them over and over and over again, and so they became beloved classics at video.
Well, and one of my best college girlfriends, I just happened to, it was after moving, probably had like a day or two before classes started, and I had a single room, and I just happened to have Labyrinth on, and she just happened to walk by, saw Jareth make his entrance. She pauses and she's like, "Is that David frickin' Bowie?" And it's like, "Yes, it is."
Yep.
"Have you seen this before?" And she's like, "No." I'm just like, "What do you got going? I can restart this." She came in and she loved it. I mean, so you can make friends watching this stuff, people.
Oh yeah.
They're like, "What are you watching?"
Well, I mean, he does make quite the entrance.
Yes, he does.
After Sarah wishes Toby away, and he makes his appearance in the bedroom. And
You're him, aren't you? You're the Goblin King. I want my brother back, please, if it's all the same.
What's said is said.
But I didn't mean it.
Oh, you didn't?
Please. Where is he?
You know very well where he is.
Please bring him back. Please.
Sarah, go back to your room. Play with your toys and your costumes. Forget about the baby.
I can't.
I've brought you a gift.
What is it?
It's a crystal. Nothing more. But if you turn it this way, look into it, it'll show you your dreams. But this is not a gift for an ordinary girl who takes care of a screaming baby. Do you want it? Then forget the baby.
I can't. It is that I don't appreciate what you're trying to do for me, but I want my brother back. He must be so scared.
Sarah. Don't defy me. You're no match for me, Sarah.
But I have to have my brother back.
He's there, in my castle. Do you still want to look for him?
Is that the castle beyond the Goblin City?
Turn back, Sarah. Turn back before it's too late.
I can't. Don't you understand that I can't?
What a pity.
It doesn't look that far.
It's further than you think. Time is short. You have 13 hours in which to solve the labyrinth before your baby brother becomes one of us forever. Such a pity.
Yeah.
Offers Sarah her dreams, and she's like, "No, I want my brother back." And I'm like, "Oh, you had a quick change of heart, didn't you, Miss?"
Yeah,
there 5 minutes earlier.
I know that part of me, like, I didn't really grow up with Labyrinth. I knew of it, but it wasn't, going back to my previous statement of, it became a big thing on home video. I was not one of those kids. For whatever reason, Labyrinth just kind of passed me by. But when I saw it, I was older, and I was like thinking, it would have been a little more believable, her big tantrum about, you're ruining my life, little brother, if he'd been older. Because she comes in, and her teddy bear Lancelot is on the baby's or on the floor next to baby's crib, and I'm like, how would he have gotten it? I mean, yeah, he's won a little. Yeah,
but she's still gonna blame.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I get it. You're a teenager. I mean, is she? Because Jennifer Connelly was 14. Now the character is supposed to be.
She's supposed to be 16 and you know, you can I guess you can make your own decision, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, whether everything that happens to her actually occurred or not, or if it was just, you know, fantasy. You know, she fell asleep on the bed and it's a very vivid dream she had or something. But the whole idea is that the entire world of the underground, you know, Jareth and Hoggle and all these characters and everything, is in a way is supposed to be a manifestation of her feelings as a 16-year-old going through puberty. Where, you know, she's not quite, you know, to quote Britney Spears, not a girl, not yet a woman. Where, you know, she's almost an adult, so she's trying to assert her independence as she gets closer to, you know, assuming graduating high school and probably going off to college somewhere. You know, she has these dreams of being an actress, following in her mother's footsteps, and you know, she wants to be her own person, but at the same time she's still living under her parents', you know, her dad and stepmom's roof, and has responsibilities as a member of the family. So
she's still quite immature at the beginning.
Yes.
I'm like,
well, and you can kind of chalk that up to just being a hormonal teenager, where, you know, it's like, you know, one minute you're just happy-go-lucky, and the next minute the world's not fair and everybody's against you. So
I think it's just me where I've seen this movie older, and I'm like, dude, really,
she's a
calm
brat.
down. She is a
Yes,
brat.
she is.
a brat.
Oh, yes, she is. It's just like, okay, maybe Mama promised you, because backstory is Mom was an actress.
Yes.
So I don't know if Mom was still in the picture or Mom passed away. Because there's
Mom ran off.
Mom ran off. Okay.
Mom ran off with, because you see the scrapbook and
co-star.
pictures and stuff. Yeah, she ran off with her co-star, who just happens to look like David Bowie.
Yeah.
So. But Sarah supposedly has this, even though Mom ran off, in Sarah's mind, she still has this high regards for her mother as this amazing actress out there living her life, you know, full of, I'm sure, you know, parties and hanging out with celebrities and just having this grand life. And she's, you know, 16 and has to watch the baby. And to her, that's just a gross injustice of life.
I have responsibilities. How terrible is my life?
Yeah.
It's just not fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, I love the line. The Goblin King is like, you say that all the time, but I wonder what your what's your basis for comparison?
Piece of cake. It was a piece of cake. Let's see how you like this little slice with the magic ball, crystal ball, and then we get the cleaners.
Yeah.
But we're jumping ahead.
Yes,
Sorry.
we are. This, if you can't tell, Holly said this was her favorite movie.
Yeah. Out of all of us, Holly is the most obsessed.
Yes. Let's just put it this way. I have a collection, and if you want to, Rachel, I know I posted pictures. You're more than welcome to share them.
Yeah.
This ranks right up there with Star Wars for me. It goes Star Wars, Labyrinth, Willow, Princess Bride. I remember watching Dark Crystal because that came out before, but the Skeksis scared me so much when I was younger. I enjoy Dark Crystal now. I love it, but not quite memorable. You know, it was just me. It was the going to the different land, seeing Sir Didymus and Ambrosius, and of course the ballroom scene.
Beating so fast in search of new dreams, a love that will last within your heart. I'll place the moon within your heart. As the pain sweeps through, makes no sense for you. Every
age wouldn't love to have that dressed like Sarah's.
Oh yeah, that's cosplay goals right there.
Exactly.
Yes. If you can, I've seen people cosplay that thing, and I'm like, hats off to you, because oh boy,
yes,
the detail, and to try to pull that off with the fabric and the material, oh boy,
and the wig.
Yes.
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 It's like after, like, because you see your hair through most of the movie is, long, straight. And then during the ballroom scene, I'm sitting there going, like, was that her real hair? Because I guess they could have teased it up because she has enough of it.
Well, if they put enough extensions in there, but odds are that's a wig, because even David Bowie's hair is Jareth. That's all wigs.
Well, yeah.
Even though
Jareth's is obviously a wig, but hers, I'm like, maybe, but I'm just like, phew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did rock, kind of that tall, feathery look for a while there in his Stardust days.
Yeah.
So, but that's just a lot of hair. So, that's a wig. So, I would imagine that Jennifer Connelly probably had to wear a wig for that too, because it probably would have been a lot easier just to style it, add the headpiece, and then just stick it on her head.
Yeah.
And just be done with it. So. But
Ow.
Cosplay goals. When I've got more time and money than I know what to do with. That is right up there.
Yeah. Yeah, the people who I have seen at cons do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, whew. Yeah. That is awesome. And, walking around in it.
That too. That's a lot of dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I would be wearing sensible shoes.
Yeah.
Hiding so you couldn't see exactly what kind of shoes I'm wearing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, who knows? I don't remember seeing her shoes.
No,
in that one, but
no.
But it's it's still pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that as I'm watching this, because anytime I watch a Jim Henson movie, show, whatever, whenever one of the I mean, there was the core Muppet performers that worked with Jim Henson for years and years, and watching the credits, they're like, I see all these names that I recognize: David Goles, Kevin Clash, Frank Oz, Steve Whitmire, and part of me is like, and then there's some names I don't recognize as being in Muppet stuff quite so much.
Yeah, but there's a couple of names that you don't necessarily associate with the Muppets, but you
associate with
like Kenny Baker, who plays the Machine Gun Goblin, who's and then Warwick Davis, who was in the Goblin Corps.
Yeah,
and then one of the choreographer trainers, if you also watch the special features, Gates McFadden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beverly
Crusher.
But
sorry, David, you didn't put thunder.
No. I'm just as I'm watching this and listening, I'm like, I'm always listening for the voices.
That too.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I really didn't hear any voices that I recognize, except for when you get to Sir Didymus. If you kind of tilt your head and squint audibly, he sounds a bit like Gonzo to me.
Now that you mention it,
a little bit, not.
A
I mean,
little
you
bit,
really
yeah.
have to work to hear it, but it kind of it's. So I'm like seeing it, but honestly, for the most part, I feel like the performers, the puppeteers, all the voices anyway disappeared into these characters, because other than the look of the Muppets, and there's some characters like, you've definitely got that Henson look,
the fortune teller.
Yeah, you really don't get that these are the same characters as maybe Kermit or Piggy or Gonzo or Fozzie or those ones. So it's definitely
Jim Henson
its own thing.
He definitely wanted to do something that was far removed from Kermit and the gang. It's like they'd established themselves. They're golden. Sesame Street's good. They're fine.
Yeah.
But he is like, after doing Dark Crystal, it's like he wanted to push the limits of what you could do with puppeteering, and that's exactly what he did with this. I mean, just the sheer scope and what they just had to do to make this movie work, considering 95% of your cast are made of felt and plastic and rubber and all of these things. It's like, it's just the it's not like Sesame Street, where the Oscars puppeteer can just hide underneath this trash can.
Right.
It's like,
they actually have to interact with the characters, with
right,
the
and then,
humans.
Yeah,
you've got David freaking Bowie sitting on his throne, surrounded by all these Muppet goblin things.
Well, laugh.
Yes, and you believe it. You believe that he is lording it over his subjects here.
Muppets in the Magic Dance scene.
Wow.
48 Muppets, 52 puppeteers, and 8 people in goblin costumes.
What could I do? My baby's love had gone and left my baby blue. Nobody knew what kind of magic spell to use. Oh, what with long tails, thunder on light. And baby said, dance, magic dance, dance, magic dance.
Wow.
And just that one sequence.
And it still holds up. This movie has aged fantastically well.
For the most part. The only
Right.
scene that has not aged well and does not look good is the fiery scene.
That's
The green screen on that is just bad.
Yeah.
And green screen is one of those that's just, in general, no matter what you're talking about, it's still like, oh yeah, that's dated. But like I said,
but what they did to do it though is impressive, because they had the people dressed in the same fabric to match the green screen, so that they could pop off the heads and throw them around, and pop out the eyeballs and throw them like dice and all that fun stuff. So it's like, how they did it is impressive, even if it has not aged well.
Well, and like I mentioned before, Jared had never seen it, so I was like, well, here, you're going to sit down and watch this with me. And he kind of did a little mini live tweet as he was watching it. And one of his very first tweets on this thing was, I think the Muppets actually hold up better than traditional effects would. In fact, I might just drop this link in here and we can link to it. He did say he was not expecting a peeing Muppet. When Hoggle shows up and he's like, okay.
Poor Hoggle.
Hogwarts.
I know, you hear that now and you're like, what? In fact, Holly, I'm curious. I'm curious.
Before Harry Potter.
I know. I'm curious. Like you've seen Labyrinth. You saw it, when it was new, before Harry Potter was a thing. When you read Harry Potter and you saw that the school is called Hogwarts, what was your thought?
I was wondering, it's like, okay, is this a slight nod to Labyrinth? I was actually thinking that, yeah. It's like,
Like, is she a fan?
Yes, it's like, okay.
It would certainly fit.
Yeah, actually, Hogwarts. It actually comes from a British humor book called The Complete Molesworth by Geoffrey Willans and Ronald Searle.
Interesting.
I don't know anything about that book and what it's actually a reference to, but actually no, it's the name or term Hogwarts actually comes from an old book. So, but Hoggle, Hoggle's an impressive piece of puppeteering when you think of it, because there was the gal that wore the suit, Sherry Weiser, and then 4 puppeteers led by Brian Henson, Jim's son, controlling the 18 motors that ran just the face.
Wow.
18?
18 motors. So there was a there was a controller that could do the jaw and help do the voice. There was another control that did lip movements. Another used another controller for the eyes and eyelids. And then the fourth one did the eyebrows and the skin around Hoggle's eyes.
Wow.
And then they had to rehearse together for weeks before they started filming so they could work in tandem so that the movements
look natural.
look
As
natural as possible. And when Hoggle, even when Hoggle's not talking, like if his mouth is hanging open and it, like he's doing like mouth breathing, that's so that Sherry could see and get some air.
Understandable. I mean, that thing had to be hot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's pretty impressive that you had the gal inside, and then the sheer amount of intrinsic controlling that they would have to do to control all those little motors, so that the eyebrows would move in a way that seems natural. I mean, it's essentially how animatronics work, but it was live animatronicking is essentially what it was. Like animatronics, they can program it to a computer. It can be like, okay, when the character does this, the eyebrow move, the right eyebrow moves up this way, the left eyebrow goes that way, the mouth opens this much, that sort of thing. But it all gets programmed, and then the computer is just like, once it gets those moves programmed to it, it's just like, okay, it does it all in a way that looks natural. But in this case, they had to do it live.
Yeah.
And again and again and again and again for all the, different scenes and takes for all the different scenes. So that's really, really impressive. So. And now Hoggle is, the actual Hoggle that they use in the movie, I think is in storage somewhere.
I think so.
Yeah, but and I believe that YouTube channel you were talking about, Christy, I think touched upon this on one of their episodes. They did a video about lost movie props.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not the movie used Hoggle, but I think it was another one made that they also took for promotional purposes.
Yeah.
So they could set him up, and at one point after the movie was finished and they were going around doing promotion for the film, that Hoggle got lost.
Right. That
he
one,
was
like,
in a piece of he was in a piece of luggage. That piece of luggage got lost. He never got claimed, and eventually, if you don't know, all unclaimed luggage eventually goes to the same place. It's an outlet center right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Correction, the outlet is not in Georgia. It is in Scottsboro, Alabama. And people can go and they'll sell this stuff at a discounted rate.
Somebody bought them somewhere.
No, actually, when they opened once that piece of luggage got to the place and got processed and the person opened it, they were in for a big surprise because Hoggle was in very, very, very bad shape.
Aww.
Yeah, because he had been kept in not the most best conditions, heat and cold and all that, and
it was just in a bag. Nobody really checked what was in there.
Yeah, so they tried to raise money because they realized the significance of him and what it was, and actually they approached, I think, the Henson Studios and was like, we have him, would you like him back? And they're like, no, not really. So the people that own or run this outlet center, we're like, well, we're not going to sell him. He's too important. This is kind of an important thing. So they tried to raise some money to have him restored, but the amount they raised was not enough to get a restoration like what the Henson Studios could accomplish. So he doesn't look a whole lot better. I mean, he's got a face now. Like, apparently most of his face had gone missing by the time he was discovered. So at least now he's got a face now, and he's in a display case at the shop. So if you find yourself in Georgia, and can stop by the unclaimed outlet. Hoggle is on display there, but just be aware that he's not going to look exactly like he did in the movie.
It's just kind of a sad story because it's like he just got lost in the baggage claim, and the Henson company didn't really want him back, and I'm like, oh,
yeah. So, but more Hoggle. He was just shoved in a suitcase. Couldn't do that with Ludo. He was too big.
No.
Yeah. Although I gotta say, because you're watching the movie, and Hoggle he's sort of on the side of the Goblin King, but then he becomes Sarah's friend and everything. Ludo, you love him from the beginning. I'm like,
yes.
Oh, you're adorable, and I want to take you home. You're adorable in a creepy way, but you're adorable.
Friend.
And then Sir Didymus on riding the dog around. I love that Ambrosius has when he's running, you hear the horse hooves clopping.
Yes.
Yes.
Clop, 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 clop.
and he neighs like a horse.
Yes.
They tried to treat him just like like you would an actual steed for a medieval night. Like he's wearing a saddle with stirrups, and the blanket underneath has got Sir Didymus's like the coat of arms.
Right, yeah.
And his coat of arms is 3 bones, 7 black paw marks, a checkered square, a fire hydrant, and some trees. Very appropriate for riding a dog. Bones, fire hydrant, trees. The attention to detail is just I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from Henson, and I'm glad that he was able to do this one. This actually ended up being his last movie, as I think we touched upon a little bit when we did the Muppet Christmas Carol, which was the first movie they did after Jim's passing. But this is the last movie he did before he passed. And yeah, just the attention to detail and just the way they were able to pull this movie off. It's just beautiful. Even for the fact that some of the effects just have not held up, I don't care. It's kind of like with the Power Rangers movie where the CGI hasn't held up. I don't care because this movie is just fantastic.
Yes, it's the care and like I said, attention to detail. The one thing Jared picked up on, like as Sarah's walking, as towards the beginning of the movie, she's walking down the through the labyrinth, and then all of a sudden, like, there's the moss, and he's like, does that moss have eyeballs? Because first it's there, and you don't really, it just seems like kind of just a throwaway thing, and then it zooms on it, like, oh my gosh, it does, and it moves. And
it follows.
Yeah, and it follows you, and he's like, that's actually really creepy. And I'm like, it's supposed to be, dear.
Well, if you've ever seen David Bowie's official music video for Underground, that appears along with a number of other characters, including Hoggle and the Junk Lady and a whole bunch
did the
of
Helping
others.
Hands make appearance? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I remember the moss with the eyeballs. They're like one of the first things that pop up. He's walking down an alley at nighttime, and there's this moss on the wall, and his eyeballs open up as it's following him, and I'm like, oh, this is where we're going.
And I'm glad you brought the soundtrack. That soundtrack is awesome. I can pop that thing on and have that on repeat and never get bored.
Well, at least for the pop music type music, you have David Bowie to thank for.
Yes.
The score was done by Trevor Jones, but David Bowie
did awesome too.
Wrote Underground and Dance Magic, and oh my goodness.
Well, and as the world falls down. As the world falls down.
Yep.
The DVD version I had a little. I was watching some of the. I didn't get to watch all the special features, but I watched some of them. One of them was because this was the 30th anniversary DVD, so it was released after David Bowie passed, and there was a little memoriam for him as far as like being in Labyrinth and stuff. And Brian Henson was talking about how because Jim had wanted David Bowie, and David Bowie agreed. And they're like, well,
first it was Jim's kids who suggested David Bowie.
Yeah.
Because he was not the first to pick. Actually, they were considering people like Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing that.
And Mick Jagger.
Yeah, he wanted.
Jim actually wanted Sting.
Yeah. Well, they'd cast David Bowie, and they're like, okay, we want you to do some songs, and he's like, okay, and I guess he was in New York at the time, and Brian Henson in this little video said like he'd expected him to come back with you wrote a few things and you played it on your piano and it's a demo tape. No, David Bowie actually went into the studio, had a choir behind him singing the songs. It was like all polished and ready to go, basically. And so David Bowie just showed up and he was having a good time, and just because he'd already done the music before he even showed up on set. Because he'd figured out, he got in the groove and figured out the songs that he thought would work, and they liked him and they used them, and they're like, perfect. I mean, I guess they probably had to, remix them for the movie, but he just went in and did it.
But to have that lightning strike and have the script inspire him to do that, just like, wow.
Yeah. So that part of this that story on that little thing, I'm like, that is amazing that he could that he just ran with it.
Well, and the script, I mean, it's a beautiful movie, and the story is pretty basic when you strip it down to brass tacks. But
it's Alice in Wonderland.
It's Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland
meets Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, which that actually it was loosely based on Maurice Sendak book. Outside Over There, which is part of a loose trilogy that includes Where the Wild Things Are and In the Night Kitchen, that story follows a young girl named Ida who must enter a fantastical world described as outside over there to find her baby sister who has been spirited away by some goblins.
So that explains why Where the Wild Things Are. The book is in Sarah's Dream.
So it's a nice nod to Maurice Sendak there. But I mean the script, the original script, and then it was touched by other people and then taken back to fix it was written by Terry Jones of Monty Python. So he wrote the first draft, then Jim passed it on to others to play with it, and they got to the end of it and Jim Henson was like, this isn't funny anymore, so he took it back to Terry Jones and was like, make it funny again. Please.
This was supposed to be funny.
Yes.
Undo the changes I made, please.
Yeah, well, he didn't undo everything, but he was able to get it back to slightly where it was before other people got their fingers on it. The one thing that Terry did not like was the fact that the center of the labyrinth is shown early in the film. He would have liked that to have been a grand reveal once Sarah got there. But we get some of those lovely matte paintings.
Yes.
Like when Sarah first enters the underground and Jareth is explained to her, that she got 13 hours to save your baby brother, and we get this beautiful matte painting of the labyrinth, and you see the castle off in the distance. Like, oh, that's so pretty. I need a print of that. Thank you very much.
Now that you mentioned that, I'm kind of like, I kind of tend to agree, because there's some parts of this movie kind of feel a little more tell, don't show to me. Not overly so, but there's a lot of it kind of. I notice it a lot more, and maybe that's sort of my writer brain thinking, oh, you could have done the reveal of this a little bit better. But I mean, that's getting down to it. That's nitpicks. But now that you mention it, I'm kind of like, yeah, I kind of agree with Mr. Jones there on that one. But that's me.
Let's see here. I mean, I've got all sorts of, like I do. I've got all sorts of information. Some of it's production related. Some of it's like mythology. Some of it's changes to the script. Like at the end, the original ending was going to be way different with, with Sarah remembering the words and telling Jareth that, you have no power over me, and that's kind of breaks everything. But originally it was going to end with Sarah punching and kicking Jareth.
Give me the child.
Sarah, beware. I have been generous up until now, but I can be cruel.
Generous? What have you done that's generous?
Everything. Everything that you wanted, I have done. You asked that the child be taken. I took him. You cowered before me. I was frightening. I have reordered time. I have turned the world upside down, and I have done it all for you. I am exhausted from living up to your expectations of me. Isn't that generous?
Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, I have fought my way here to the castle beyond the Goblin City. For my will is as strong as yours. And my
Stop! Wait. Look, Sarah. Look what I am offering you. Your dreams.
And my kingdom is great.
I ask for so little. Just let me rule you. And you can have everything that you want.
Kingdom is great. Damn. I can never remember that line.
Just fear me. Love me. Do as I say, and I will be your slave.
My kingdom is great. You have no power over me. You have no power over me.
That would have been weird.
I like the scripted, the no power over me a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, and that
like
fits
the,
with
whole...
that fits with the opening where she's rehearsing lines for a play or something, and it's like, okay, this is weird, but then it comes back and it's like, okay, that makes more sense.
You do get a similar, they do get to use that ending kind of in a slightly different way if you read the comics.
Yes.
Yeah. If you because the movie, it's like, the movie, it came out 86, it didn't do well in the box office, and then thankfully with home movie releases, with time it's developed a cult following, as a lot of these movies do that don't do well when first released. But the fact that in the last not even decade that they've started doing expanded universe, a manga first.
Those I've read those are all right. I like the Coronation a lot better.
Yeah, I have not read the manga. I just finished reading the Coronation comic series last night, which is great because it gives you again, it kind of depends on how you want to look at it, whether, because the Coronation takes place, it's happening at the same time as the events of the movie, but you're getting Jareth telling Toby a story in the bits that we don't see on screen to try and keep Toby occupied. And if you look at it at face value, it's the story of how Jareth came to the labyrinth and became the king, but then Jareth is somewhat of an unreliable narrator, so you kind of have to take what he's saying with a pinch of salt. But then at the end of it, which I don't want to give away, it's kind of like, okay, maybe he was telling the truth. But then he still doesn't give you all the details because that's the way Jareth is. But it is a really good, it is a really good story. The artwork is beautiful. There's some Jareth's face is a bit pointier than I would have liked, especially his nose. But other than that, it captures the beauty and the the whimsicalness of the underground very, very well, while intertwining the story that Jareth is telling Toby with what is actually happening with Sarah, and you see those parallels. It's quite fun, but I don't want to give away the story because it is fairly new. It only came out last year.
Yes, last year. Yeah, I don't want to give it away as well because I mean, I found out about it, so I had to wait week by week or month by month to because I purchased the issues separately.
The whole thing is out now
in an omnibus, but it was just like, oh my gosh!
Yeah, I was able to get the first 2 volumes, which is like the first 4 issues of the story at my library in the hardback, but they didn't have anything beyond that. But I was able to read the rest of it via Hoopla.
Comics Out or Hoopla,
yeah. So the entire thing is on Hoopla. So if you have access to Hoopla via your library, you can read the entire thing. So.
But that's
when you go to search for it, and then have it sort in release order.
Yes.
And start at the end because it's going to put it in release order with newest first because it's got the individuals, but then it's also got a couple of the omnibuses in there.
Right.
So it was hard to figure out where exactly where I'd left with omnibuses and where the single issues picked up. So,
some of
the way it was numbered because there was some overlap with the cover art. So
some of the user interface on those ebook vendors are leave something to be desired. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
but once you figure it out,
because the whole thing ends up being like 12 issues, so it's not super long. So, but it is fun, and there's some meta jokes in there.
Yes,
like
there are,
like at one point there's a goblin. It's like, well, I wasn't sure if we were gonna have another dance number.
Which I mean, that's Jim Henson Muppet humor.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's more Frank Oz. I don't know, but
50-50.
It's all in there. I'm like, yeah, that's a perfect joke for that. But
yeah,
I mean, I like that they've done comics and manga because watching this movie, I'm like, I feel like there's so much more story to tell, especially in the ballroom scene and all of that. It's like I feel like there's something else here, and there's been fan theories about that and fanfic and all that, and I'm like, I feel like there's more story here. There's more to this world. There's more that they could do if they wanted. Now, I know there is talk of a sequel. I don't know if I want a straight up sequel. I kind of like the idea of just doing graphic novels and comics and stuff like that.
I've seen sequel, but with like parentheses after it, like sequels / like soft spin-off.
Yeah, I mean it's
not a soft reboot, but more of a spin-off than a direct sequel. So, which is good because I would almost like to see maybe more exploration of the underground. The characters and not have to worry about solving the labyrinth and everything that's involved there. Because like in the comic, I can't speak about the manga, but the comic, there's this whole backstory about how there was almost a goblin rebellion, where the goblins were going to revolt against the king that came before Jareth, and stuff happens.
The manga kind of deals with Toby, and then
Yeah, because the
Jareth
manga is actually
kind
a
of
sequel. It's Toby.
Yes.
It's like a decade after
Yes.
the
And-
events of the Labyrinth, and Toby gets brought back to become Jareth's heir.
Exactly, yes, because Jareth is kind of dragging his feet about finding his successor.
Yeah, I do know that
Yeah.
that much without reading it. So,
yeah.
Did you guys know that there was a video game?
No, I did not.
No.
In
There was a video game?
Yeah, in 1986, 2 video games were released based on the movie. One in Japan and one to the U.S. and other markets. So, Labyrinth, the computer game, was released for Apple II and Commodore 64. The 80s, folks. That was released in the West. It was the first graphic adventure game developed by Lucasfilm Games.
Nice.
That was the company that eventually become LucasArts in the 90s.
They had to start somewhere.
Yes. In that game, the player has 13 real-time in-game hours to solve the labyrinth and thwart Jareth. In Japan, Nintendo and Henson Associates released a different game simply called Labyrinth for the Famicom system. That game was almost entirely in Japanese since it was made exclusively for the Japanese market, and it never got released anywhere else. Although there are unofficial fan translations out there if you want to look for them. That game
that does not surprise me.
Yeah, the Japanese game is an RPG, kind of like
Oh.
Zelda.
Oh.
But it also has a real-time in-game ticking clock.
Yeah, of course.
So you still got the 13 hours, but it's an RPG. So
don't start playing it before dinner, otherwise your mom will be like, "Get over here and pause your game."
Yeah,
you're gonna.
I can't.
Yeah, because I'm not sure you had the ability to save yet in '86.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Huh? You did? Oh, Chauncey's saying you did have the ability to save in '86. So,
Okay.
At least
Thank
in
you,
the
Chauncey.
U.S. I can't speak for the Japanese market. But
Thanks for the info.
On the Famicom, you can save on the Famicom. Do you know? He's shaking his head. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
But still, I don't know if I'd want to stop once I started.
Oh
yes.
I mean,
I just remember
80s, but-
playing. Yeah, I just remember playing video games and be close
Oh,
to
it had a
dinner, and
battery?
my mom would be like,
"Cool."
Or
Apparently
dying right before you know where there's a automatic save point.
Yeah.
It's just like, really?
Yeah. Well, do you guys know what the like the mythology of the 13 hours is?
No, I do not.
Okay, so in mythology, the 13 hours that Jareth and Sarah, or 13 hours in general, it's very symbolic in certain instances. So Sarah made her wish late in the evening. And around midnight is considered by some the most powerful time of day, when demons, goblins, and other creatures can cross their dimension and enter ours.
That makes sense.
Yeah, according to folklore, there is a time rift between midnight and 1 a.m., which is considered the 13th hour, quote unquote, 13th hour. So in order for time, to be able to circumvent time, something jarring or horrible must happen, like Sarah wishing her brother away. So they alter that slightly because the 13-hour, obviously Jareth gives her literal 13 hours as opposed to what we would consider the 13th hour in folklore, where it's the 60 minutes between midnight and 1 a.m. But in the folklore, if you cross that dimensional plane, there is a time fissure So although time will fly in the underground, it does not advance as quickly in the human world. So that's why when Sarah saves Toby and comes back, her parents are just walking in the door at like midnight when they said they'd be home. Because time moves differently because of that bridge, that time fissure between the two dimensions. So
Interesting.
Yep. So that 13 hours is not just an arbitrary number that they picked, that it actually has. They did alter it, obviously, for the story, but it is steeped in actual folklore. So I love stuff like that where they've done like their research and managed to fit things like that in the larger mythology of the movie. So
yeah, and I've always just thought they picked 13 because it's like the quote unquote unlucky number, so it's always gonna be like luck is against her.
Well, that could be that too. So, and the fact that during that 13th hour is when goblins and demons and stuff could come into some could consider that unlucky.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do I have as far as
here's something random. Like I rewatched it today.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how these like little things in Sarah's room at the beginning of the movie. I spotted today for the first time Disney's Robin Hood the Fox.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I was just watching like, wait a second, I never saw that before. What's that doing there?
That's why Sir Didymus is a fox.
Makes sense now. I realize that, but like I didn't. I never caught that until today.
It's one of those. It gives it rewatch value. So like, oh, I missed that. I need to go back because Rachel was talking about all the Easter eggs, I guess, in Sarah's room at the beginning. It's like, okay, I need to go back and pause and see what's all there because there's some really cool stuff.
Well, if you want to do that, here's a task for you. There are 7. Well, it's actually 6 because one of them's really obvious. But there are 7 faces of Jared's, David Bowie's hidden throughout the movie.
Yes.
There's a very obvious one where he's talking to Hoggle when before he gives him the peach, where it first looks like a bunch of rocks and then the camera pans and it's like, oh, that's David Bowie's face. But there's more of those hidden throughout the movie. That
I think I
you have to
spotted
look out for.
I think I spotted like 4 out of the 7. I'm going to have to go back.
Yeah. I won't tell you where they are, but if you go watch, see if you can find them, and then if you're really frustrated, they're listed in the trivia section on IMDb.
I love this. I love when movies do have I love Easter eggs in movies. It's so fun. I mean, I didn't really need a reason to rewatch the movie anyway, but ooh, and oh.
It's like, I'll take it.
And you have did you say you do have the Goblin Companion book, Holly?
Yes, I do. My and actually, when I said it was MIA, my cousin actually returned it to me today.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Speaking of serendipity, I'm just like, no, you're not part of this messaging group. But I do have it, yes.
That's another piece of extended media. It gives a description of every goblin in the Labyrinth. It was written by Brian Froud and Terry Jones.
Yes.
So, which, if you don't know who Brian Froud was, he is the conceptual designer for the movie, but it's his son Toby that plays Toby.
Yes.
And Toby now has grown up and does similar work to his dad, and now works on the Dark Crystal Netflix series.
Yep.
So, this is a family affair.
Yeah. Well, they had to change the name of the baby in this from the original name in the script because he would not respond to any name except his own.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. He was a very cooperative baby, though. Like,
yes,
for the most part, like the goblins and stuff did not bother him. The
Phase
only
him.
reason he's crying in the Dance Magic at the beginning of that is because they filmed that bit at the end after filming the number where Toby's way more happy because he's being entertained by the goblins, because by then it was past his nap time.
Yes.
That would do it.
Filming around a baby is gonna be that's gonna do it.
Yeah, but for the most part, he was a very cooperative baby and had no problem with the all the puppets and everything. There was the only time that he was not cooperative is there's the scene where Jareth is just talking to Toby while he's sitting on his lap, and for whatever reason Toby was just not having it. So what they did was they had a puppet that apparently Toby was just enamored with. So David Bowie has his one hand off screen with that puppet on, and that's what Toby is looking at while Jareth is talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredibly adorable when you think about that. You're picturing it. Have you guys seen like the updated version? I just want to say, I don't know, but like Toby, the actor, did like a remake of Dance Magic with the Muppets in him as still as a baby, but as an adult.
No, I have not.
I haven't either.
Do you have a link?
Yeah,
give me one
please
second.
share link.
We will put in show notes.
Yes.
So I'm like, I think
Actually,
I need to see this.
I'm highly intrigued.
Oh, I found it! Yay! Thank you, YouTube.
YouTube, the source of all stuff. I was gonna say the source of all knowledge, but I'm like, I wouldn't go that far.
Sorry.
It's the source of some knowledge.
Yes. Depending on who you ask.
Yes. Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch this when we're done recording.
Me too.
Oh, just the thumbnail. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
This looks like it's gonna be good.
They did it because it was 4 years ago, so it was for the 30th anniversary.
I need to get my hands on the novelization.
Me too.
Because it sounds like it fills in a lot of stuff.
And it is available in ebook format. That much I know. Let me check the hardcover, or check the your local library to see if they don't happen to have a copy. Because the paperback novelization, man, that thing was hard to come by.
Yeah. Because from what I understand, it expounds on quite a bit.
They do have paperback version available. Ooh, hardcover sticker shock.
I imagine so.
Why? I'm not surprised.
There used to be a digital format, which I do have along with a physical copy.
Yeah.
Licensing, probably.
Give me one second. I don't want to comment. I think. Never mind. I was on a. Never mind.
Okay.
I was looking up something wrong, apparently.
But yes, the novelization is awesome. Because that was written by
lives.
That was added by A.C.H. Smith.
Hmm.
Because they did a archive version, and there's even illustrations in it as well from Brian Froud.
Ooh.
Very cool.
Yes.
So yes, the you have the movie, but the adventure continues apparently because boy, there's a lot of extra stuff that they've done since then. I mean, as I was watching this last night, I just kept thinking, gosh, they could do so much with this. I'm like, well, okay, they have. So
yeah,
I stand corrected.
Yes. But we don't necessarily want a sequel.
Yeah, maybe not a straight up sequel. And then I'm like, well, and I told Jared that last night, and he's like, who the heck would they get to play the Goblin King by now? And I'm like,
You can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's like no like.
There's no.
So like
I
I said, if they wanted to go beyond the Labyrinth and Jareth and all that to more of just the underground,
yeah,
that would be interesting to get some more of the
or
picture of the more of the world there, but
right outside of that Labyrinth area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just kind of been like, oh yeah, that's the Goblin King's castle. He's up there doing stuff.
Yeah, insert some unused audio or something that was the original version.
Because anybody they would try to recast, it just wouldn't.
No,
whoever does would probably do their best, but they would always be compared to David Bowie.
Yeah, a too big of a feathered cape to fill.
Yes.
That's nicer than what I was going to say.
Yeah, I probably knew exactly where you were going to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did it on purpose, folks. Sarah's
16.
She's going through puberty. It's a manifestation of her going through puberty. That's all I'm going to say. So they added that to the costume on purpose.
And he makes it work. It's not awkward at all.
Nope.
I don't know. I mean, I know very little about acting and the methods of acting and how you do stuff, but I'm just like, I wonder how many actors would have been able to
it's David Bowie. I mean, if you've seen some of the stuff that he's worn on stage, I mean, he lived in spandex as Ziggy Stardust, so
second nature.
Yeah, exactly.
And you really needed someone like Bowie to play Jareth. You needed someone who had that, almost otherworldly vibe about him. I mean, the man just, even not when he was done up, as the Thin White Duke or Ziggy Stardust or the role, he always just had a look about him that was just slightly not human. Some of that, has to do with, he has a very distinct facial features, and his voice was certainly the mismatched eyes definitely helped.
Yeah.
So having that physical characteristic, just
even watching the behind the scenes stuff, and you see him just interacting with people, like he's just a dude, but you still are like, it's David freaking Bowie. My gosh, it's like even when he's just being kind of laid back in himself, it's still just he looks he's got that look, he's got that presence, he's got all of that, and we probably talked about that when we talked about him when he passed away, and same thing, and that's what made it. I mean, I know you said there were other pop stars that Jim Henson wanted to cast, but looking back at it, it's like, how could you have even considered anybody else? I mean, at the time when you're making it, you think, oh, I could do this person.
Yeah, you think 80s pop stars.
Yeah. But yeah. Bowie made that role, made that character work, and made the movie, honestly.
Yeah. Because I mean, I couldn't imagine not having him having written those songs. and then
Right.
having to come up with something else. I mean, as soon as you hear that opening track, you know, okay, yep, this is Labyrinth.
Yeah, when I was listening to the entire soundtrack with that link you shared for on Spotify, and it was just like, you know, even just the score,
yes,
which, you know, written by someone completely different, but it just melds together. I mean, it's very 80s.
It's almost
in the best way possible.
Yeah, it's almost like they were of two minds, and they just kind of not in the same room, but it just fit together like a nice little puzzle piece.
It's kind of like, I mean, we have shows like Stranger Things immediately comes to mind. They're trying to recreate the 80s, and they do a fairly good job, but there's nothing like the original. The ones that, like, that was the time period, that was the style, that's what they did, and you can't you can try to recreate it, and you can get close, but you can't get it exactly right like it. But yeah, it's one of those movies. It's like you can't recreate it. You can't try to redo it. It was just the right people, the right cast, the right creators doing their thing, and anything. I feel like anything they would try to do now. I mean, you could try to explore the world and things, but it just, I don't know. It would have to be in the right hands, but I kind of would feel like a cheap cash grab at this point, because back at the time it was experimental.
Yeah,
is kind of what I'm saying, and that made it work, even though it wasn't a financial success at the time.
Right. Lightning struck.
Yes,
struck with the resurgence, getting it to strike in that same way again.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard good things about the Dark Crystal series on Netflix, though.
Oh, that is completely awesome.
So it is possible, but you know, again, you gotta do it right,
right,
and not try to do a complete, you know, like, let's just do everything we did again, and hopefully. I mean, in theory, you wouldn't want to do exactly what they did again, because it wasn't a financial success at first. So it's you know, you can't recreate the cult following that has come with time.
Right.
So it's
like Holly said, lightning in a bottle. There's just a lot of variables that came together just right, and trying to make that happen again in the same way. Maybe it could happen. I don't know. I have my doubts.
Well, I mean, just so many of the people involved aren't with us anymore.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't have Jim to direct. You know, Terry Jones just passed.
Right.
Very recently. David Bowie's been on for several years, so it's like, you know,
I guess
you really need a Python to write something like the Bog of Eternal Stench and all those fart noises.
Yeah,
I know, because anyone else trying to do that.
Rocks. Yeah. And Ambrosius going across, and you hear that.
Yeah. You know, anyone else trying to do, I mean, we've seen kids movies that have an abundance of fart jokes, and it's just, you're just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And even as I was watching it last night, I'm like, it's like the bog farts, and it was funny to me. It was funny,
and it completely makes sense. There's nothing oddball out of it.
Yeah, and I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't think it was dumb. I didn't think it. I thought it was hilarious in a way that other movies, when they do fart jokes, I'm just kind of like, oh gosh, here we go again.
Apparently that scene, favorite of the future King of England, Prince Charles. when the movie had its London premiere, and they show, and the movies, they do that, and you know, depending on what the movie is, sometimes a royal or two may come to the premiere, and they got to the Bog of Eternal Stench scene, and apparently Prince Charles was the only one laughing.
Interesting.
And when
I don't know how to take that.
Yeah.
Like,
And then when
what's
he
wrong
ran
with
into
London?
he ran into Brian Henson like years later, and they talked about it, and he told Brian Henson then years later, he's like, "Oh yeah, I love that scene." That's what it is. So yeah, Bog of Eternal Stench, favorite of the future King of England.
And it was a Python who wrote it.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, London premiere goers, what's your deal? Why doesn't anybody else laugh?
Yeah, you would think the country that gave us Monty Python would find that funny, that everyone would have been laughing, but apparently not.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway. Well, I don't know. What else? I mean, we could talk about this for hours and hours, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much to it. And even someone like me, it's like I'm not as steeped in it as, someone like Holly, who's like, is like, here's my collection. Here's all the stuff.
Yeah.
I have all the rare books and the dolls and the thing and the but still I'm like, yeah, it's since the first time I watched it, and I've come to really appreciate it and what it means and what it all represents and stuff. And I'm like, it's a fun movie. And there's a lot to it, and I'm glad that they've continued it in other media, because it looks fascinating that way. I don't know. What else does anyone else have to say?
If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and go to your local library. Try to check it out, because sadly right now I don't believe it's available on any streaming subscription service that I am aware of.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably like buy it on iTunes or
Right.
Amazon
Or rent it,
something,
yeah.
or rent it. But
And any version is good, but if you can get your hands
Yeah, you can buy it
on
on the usual, buy it in digital off of like Amazon or Apple TV or YouTube or whatever, or you can rent it. But
if you can find the 30th anniversary edition with the special features, those they're worth sitting down and watching.
yeah, the ones I got to watch, I didn't get to watch all of them, but they were all pretty good. The ones I got to see, they were fun, but anyway, well, if any of our listeners have seen Labyrinth or have any thoughts about it, or want to add to the conversation, you could send us email. Our email address is 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. Find links to all of our social media, and leave comments there. Facebook, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel where our D&D sessions are still going up. We're really getting into the thick of it. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't caught up, but the story's getting very good, I will say.
Yes.
And it's a fun time for everybody. So check that out if you can. You can download our podcast wherever you find podcasts. We're there. And if you can help support the show, we have Patreon, we have an Amazon store, we have a Redbubble store, which there are some more designs going up. Speaking of D&D,
yes.
we have fun little things that pop up. They're like, hey, that should go on a sticker. So check that out. Also, our Amazon, yes, and our Audible link, where you can get a free Audible download if you sign up through our link, and we get a little referral bonus for that. And that helps keep the podcast going, keeps us on the interwebs and having a good time, and bringing all the fun, juicy discussion to your ears. And again, thank you for all your support, all your comments, all your Patreons and Amazon clicks and stuff like that, because that really does help. And it's good to know that there are people out there listening to what we have to say, and hopefully we're helping keep your spirits up this year. Like we said, it's been a bummer year for sure, but we're trucking through it together as best we can. So thanks for being along for the ride.
Yep.
so with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bethlehem saying goodnight.
It's Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Hoggle, if she ever kisses you, I'll turn you into a prince. Prince of the land of stench!
Next one.
Too much rejection, no love injection. Life can't be easy. It's not always well. Don't tell me truth hurts, little girl, 'cause it hurts like hell. But down in the underground, you'll find someone true. Down in the underground, a land serene, a crystal moon. It's only forever.
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fivishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.